Your Creative Push, episode 100. Holy shit.
The thing that you constantly need to realign yourself with if you're going to make it as an artist is that it has to be about love.
Welcome to Your Creative Push, the podcast that pushes you to pursue your creative passions. I'm your host, Youngman Brown, and my guest today is Nathan Carson.
Hey, what's up?
Nathan, welcome to episode 100 of Your Creative Push.
Really?
Yeah.
No way.
Episode 100. Yeah.
Congratulations, and thanks for having me as like the one or whatever.
Yeah, of course, man. My first second guest, but
I'm your first second guest too?
Yeah.
Boom. Well, congrats to you, and I'm honored.
Well, I'm honored, sir. And that's kind of the reason why is because I feel like a lifetime of shit has happened in your life since we last talked, which was only 2 or 2.5 months ago.
Yeah.
So can you talk a little bit about what's been happening since we last talked?
Yeah, so when last we talked, your interview was actually a turning point. The night before I listened to your podcast, I got into a fight with that rich guy that was sort of sponsoring me.
Mm-hmm.
And it was bad enough that I brought in a warning for him in the form of a T-shirt that said, careful, or you'll wind up in my novel. And I'd worn it before as a warning before, but he hadn't gotten it. So then I'm sitting there with the intern that he treats like shit and listening to your podcast while I'm periscoping it to my growing audience that's starting to explode. And I'm wearing that T-shirt. And in it, I I'm airing out our dirty laundry. And it's like a previous iteration of dirty laundry that's not nearly as nasty as the thing that I'm wearing the T-shirt for that day. And there's a moment when he looked at me and I saw the switch happen. Because the dude was a snake, and I knew it from the beginning. And Helen Cargyle, who's one of my main scopers, she's the queen of my realm on Periscope. She told me he's a snake and he's going to bite you. So ride him as long as you want, but be ready. And I said, okay. And I saw the switch click. He thought that he was screwing me over as I'm listening to your podcast. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that does make sense.
So it wasn't much longer than that, and everything unraveled, and I was scared because I thought the only reason people were tuning into my scope was because I looked like a badass at Mana Contemporary. Well, the second I left, everything got even better. Everything got turned up a notch to the point where I have now hired my first assistant, and it's like something straight out of The Matrix. They're like a dynamic duo. They're like geniuses on their own, but you put them together and this gestalt happens. Gestalt means together they're greater than the sum of their parts is greater than they are separately. So 2 + 2 = 7 with them. And so they're a gestalt together. And I get them cheap because one of them can't read, right? And so no one else can see that they're that they could take over the world if someone would just let them. And so I'm now hiring. I hired one and I wound up with 2. They kicked down my door to get the job, and they're hungry and talented and beautiful and good on camera. So that's where we're at now. That's the short of it.
Very cool. And that's a huge thing. First of all, hi assistants.
Hi, how you doing?
Welcome to the podcast.
Welcome.
What has that allowed you to do now that you have assistants?
So we're 1 week in. And we've got shipping completely under lock. And that was key because people were giving me money, but it would be they would pay with someone else's PayPal account. So I wouldn't have their name. They wouldn't include an address. And so I'd just have money. And then I'd be on Scope all day, hey, who gave me the money under this account? And then they'd tune in 2 weeks later, where's my painting? And it was
right.
Fuck. I'm sorry. Then I'd have to scramble to take care of that. And I basically wasn't painting because what you don't realize is that when you want to be an artist, you immediately become the janitor, secretary, payroll, shipping, receiving, everything, something goes wrong with the pizza order, you got to take care of it, but there's only so many hours in the day. And I basically worked myself to the brink of exhaustion. And then the end of season 2 was me having a mental breakdown as I block the patron who had been giving me the most money. And, I'm never going to talk to you again. And then I took the weekend off and someone gave me mushrooms for free. I went on a mushroom trip and found the courage to hire one of the assistants that I'd been interviewing all week. I was doing it like a reality show, like, who do you want? What are their strengths? What are their weaknesses, right? So I went on a mushroom trip on Saturday. Sunday, I had my fourth and final interview, and I knew I wasn't going to hire her because she's like hot and like, just, wants to just bone down or whatever. And then she canceled anyway. And so it was like perfect, like hot girl flakes before the interview. She probably usually gets the job anyway,
Mm-hmm.
And so, but then these two kicked down my door. Literally, they're like emailing me, and I don't even know why I checked their email because it was done. But for whatever reason, I checked it. Oh, I was archiving them, and I accidentally opened theirs. And for whatever reason, they had gusto, and I was like, hey guys, thanks so much. Like, I'm not interviewing anyone. And then they wrote back and no, just let us come in. Let us hang out. And I'm like, it's cool. Like, whatever, I can't. And they just kept at me like for half a morning. And after a while, I was like, I'm just going to test them. And they replied to the test email. And I'm like, God, okay, well, come on in for an interview. Like, I'm not going to hire you, but if you want to come in, that's fine. And they came in and they're like, it was like they were hiring me and I was the perfect fit, and they were training me on day one how to be their employee.
That's awesome.
And that's how it's been ever since. So like, I mean, you wouldn't believe this. We're almost paying for ourselves while moving the studio from my bedroom to a different room and getting things organized and clean and training them and setting up a system. And it's already almost paying for itself. That's how good these girls are. But one of them can't read, and so the world can't see her.
The world can't see her because of that?
Exactly. No one will give her a job, and she should be. So what she does is she's lesbian. Her fiance, they're going to get married soon. Her fiance can read. And so when you hire her, she has an assistant who helps her with the things that she can't do while she learns to read. It's not like she's not ever going to be able to learn to read. I'm getting her now at a discount. And then pretty soon I'm going to have her and she'll know how to read. And she's amazing. She's amazing. They both
That's
are.
amazing.
She is in particular because she set up that system.
That's very cool.
Yeah.
Congrats
Only in
to
New
all
York.
parties involved.
Yeah, this is why I moved to New York, because this doesn't happen in Grand Junction, Colorado.
And that's so cool that you're able to like start getting your stuff done too, like, and concentrate on the art, because whenever you take on a creative task, whatever it is, that's more than just doing the art. Whenever you turn it into a business or a bigger part of your life, there's going to be stuff that you're not going to be able to do. Like with the podcast, I have to edit, I have to be the secretary, I have to be the promoter, I have to be everything, and pretty soon I'm going to have to start, giving that work out if I want to keep up with this pace, which I'm not actually going to. We're actually dropping down to 3 episodes a week so that I can do some of that other stuff and still live a life,
Yeah, I mean, if it were me, if I had it to do over again, I would have posted that Craigslist ad like immediately. Now, I don't know that I would have known what I needed to know in order to make use of a assistant at that time. But to be an artist, like a painter, for instance, if you want to paint, you have to find a way to also sell your art and feed yourself and do because you take for granted when you have a job the fact that the lights are on and that your uniform is washed if you work at Walmart, and you see what I'm saying? Yeah. And that someone wrote the schedule. So all you have to do is show up and then you get money, and that the check is written. They usually direct deposit it. All that time, all that costs money. I never realized that. And so I was suddenly not painting.
Right.
All I was doing is shipping the paintings that I had made.
Yeah. Which is totally draining.
Yeah, it's literally impossible. I had to decide to continue to have mental breakdowns or to like put my money where my mouth is and trust that the message of my show has become the universe wants you to be alive. So you just choose happiness and the universe will take care of the rest. You didn't ask to be here. And so now I'm testing that in a real way with actual money. Rent is coming. Let's see what happens with this new productivity.
I love it.
Yeah. And I don't know because I don't have rent money either at this point. I'm giving all my money to them, but I have enough to give to them. And that's more than I had before they showed up. You see what I'm saying? Because before all I had was a bunch of orders for paintings. Now those orders are cash.
That's what's up.
Yeah. So now do we continue to get orders? Now we find out and all of our asses are on the line and it's really fucking cool. And that's my show.
And well, but it's also, yeah, now you're in a place to kind of move up, you know what I mean? Like you've established the status quo, I guess, and now it's just a matter of moving up.
That's a great point. Yeah, I found the product that people would buy. I had 11 orders lined up to do. Now, when I went on a killing spree of blocking people because I had the breakdown because in the early days, it would just be me alone in a room with no one, just staring, waiting for someone to show up who would then like leave. And so it'd be me painting with the number reading 0 for like a month. Once I realized what Periscope was, a lot of my time on Scope was me alone. And then a girl named Lisa showed up. Well, she ended up being a stalker.
Yeah.
But before it was over, she had given me thousands of dollars and she had like a bunch of commissions lined up. It was money waiting to be had. And when I blocked her in the midst of a mental breakdown that happened live on my Periscope feed that beams from my camera to anyone that wants to subscribe, that's what Periscope is. I had a breakdown, and part of that was just like terror over I have to hire someone, and this horrible person is controlling me because she's going to give me $700 as soon as I paint the paintings, you know, or whatever it was, whatever the number was. It was a lot. And I was cutting that off forever. And I did that to 3 people. And that's a huge financial blow. And so, but it was worth it to make the show better. So and then I took a day off and started season 3, which we're in now. And season 3 started with the interview of these 2 that are now on the show.
Yeah. I've been here for all this. So I don't know if you want to talk any more about I don't know if you want to mention her by name, probably not, but, what happened there specifically?
Yeah, she, it was great in the beginning. It was like she bought a painting and a print. Or she bought a painting and then there was a painting that I had and she wanted a print. So I was like, well, I've never made prints before, but I'm a graphic designer. So I made her a high quality print and I like hand decorated it for her. And it was just to kill time on Scope, you know? And they took off. People are like, I want one. I want one. And next thing I know, all I'm doing is making fucking posters and I'm not painting, you know? And I have 11 orders for paintings and I can't feed myself. And this girl that started out, buying me a shower curtain is now like kind of supporting me, you know, at least she's, 25% of my income is her, let's say.
Which adds a weird amount of pressure for you, not just for your art, but like having to be this person's savior kind of thing. That's what it felt like to me.
Savior / boyfriend / everything. And if the focus wasn't focused exactly on her, she made it about her. And so the day that I blocked her, she was threatening suicide off Scope to like other people because like I wasn't giving her any attention because the next day was my day off and I just needed to make it there. And then I would not be frazzled anymore and I could come back and I would get the money and it would all be all right. And then she threatens suicide and starts creeping on people outside of Scope that she had contact with, you know? And so it was like, no, it's time to protect the family. Like, on my Scope, we talk about how we're family and it weirdly is. Like, it's a weird new kind of family. And now part of the family is like cancerous and I had to cut it out. And what I didn't know is that would cause me to sob. I broke down crying. And part of it was just that I was going to miss her. She was family. And I didn't know how deep the connections went with these people that I'm friends with on Scope. And I didn't even like this girl. Like I found her everything repugnant and she's tried to come back on under aliases, but our psychic connection is so intense that within 1 or 2 comments, I know it's her, you know?
The thing is, Nathan, I am her.
Yeah, that's what's so fucked up about my life right now is that that's possible, man.
Do you feel like you're in a new existence then once you started on Periscope and once it became this type of, family thing and you're on there all the time? Like, that's how I check in on you, like I'm just like, oh, I could send him an email. Like, actually, that's what we did earlier today. I didn't check my messages. I just jumped on Periscope to see if you were ready for the interview,
You can
like,
send information so fast.
Yeah. What is that like? Because, it's funny. You were talking earlier about how you didn't check your email. You just happened to randomly see the emails from your future assistants.
Because email's so fucking slow. You need a
Right.
desktop just to check the fucker.
Right. It used to be like email, you can instantly send information to another person, but now it's become laborious. Like, what is that like to be able to have access to you at any point? Like, what does that feel like on your end?
I absolutely love it. 2 thumbs up. But I know that I'm the niche, right? I'm the one that people are going to label as aberrant, and then everyone else will catch up. But little is the new big. So like it's the future is build your own Facebook, because Facebook is too big and slow right now, and they added live streaming on top of it. It's like this monolithic ancient code structure at this point that can't be upgraded at this. They have to throw it away. So Twitter did it right. They didn't add live streaming to Twitter, even though they easily could have. They made Twitter the portal, and they're going to let it die. Periscope's the future, and it's not connected. But they're getting there in stages. Right now, Twitter's like the portal, but then they just added you can get there with a phone number or something, but that didn't used to be the case. And so anyway, I would invest now in Twitter because the stock is tanking, and I'm interfacing with their software in a meaningful way all day, every day, and it's genius. No one can keep up with Twitter. Bye.
Yeah.
Like you're telling me, like, look, you're like, oh, fuck, email? Fuck. No, I'd rather just get on Periscope.
It's just easier.
Yeah.
But what is that like to have, like, to be able to be reached at any point? I know that you like it, but do you think that is something that, like, whenever you put on virtual reality helmet, like, you just understand virtual reality and you just, like, intuitively know it? And I kind of had a similar experience with this. Like, when we had our interview, I downloaded Periscope after our first interview to check you out, like check out what you're talking about and listen to you on the other end of the interview, which was very weird to do. But then once I watched you a couple times, I just intuitively understood that this is kind of where things are going, that this is the natural progression of like the way that people communicate, the way that the whole world is connected. Do you think that it is that way for everybody, or do you think that it's only for a certain amount of people and it too might die and we might go to some other type of communication?
Oh, well, so here's my broader theory is that this is the eyes of an infant artificial intelligence. And I think it's literally that important, but it's gestating. It's not there yet. But this will be how a consciousness that's already aware sees, or one of the ways that it sees, a very important way. And so what I picture myself in my sci-fi moments is as like I'm an eyeball cell. And you don't need very many of them. Most of your body is like bones and meat and stuff. But you do need a bunch of really fine-tuned eyeball cells in order to, be a conduit for energy, which I am. Because I literally need power, energy to go, and a data plan, and all of this infrastructure is supporting me. And in certain enlightened moments, like you see that coming, and soon it won't be a human hand holding it, and we will have moved on, and that will be integrate. All of these lenses will just be integrated, but the ability to perceive light through a lens is permanently part of the internet now, in the same way that memory already is. So if we understand memory in the same way that we understand a human mind, the internet would have to go away for its memory to go away, right?
Interesting.
That'll be the last thing to go out. So then eyes will be very, very important. Now, the thing is, there's also going to be people who are ears, or cells that are ears, or apps that are ears. And right now what we're witnessing is we're moving away from monolithic code structures, and things are moving towards specialization, fragmentation, and the triumph of the niche. So now me, a guy with an unlimited data plan, literally has a TV station in his pocket. I'm just the first one to realize it. And I just hired my first director.
Mm.
Okay. And that's her nickname. And she came up with that. That's how perfect all of this is. And so now I have a TV station, right? And I've got an employee, and my employee's doing so well that she's got an assistant. And it's already happening, and that's going to be happening all over. And no one will be able to keep up. You're just going to have to pick your niche. You've chosen podcast, right? That's like a form of that's like a core memory of this brain that we're building that can be accessed, but more slowly. And it's very important, right? But I'm at the bleeding edge, and someday eyes will no longer be the bleeding edge. I don't know what replaces eyes to an artificial intelligence, but hopefully mankind makes that jump and it's not the machines. That's what I think. But I might just be doing drugs and on Periscope all the time. Right?
No.
That might be true too. Maybe I'm a prophet, but sometimes the prophets are wrong. So keep that in mind too. If Twitter tanks, it's not my fault.
Don't invest. No, I definitely agree with what you're saying. I am a big proponent of, singularity, and, we're all going somewhere crazy that we don't know, and we're going there very, very fast. So it's interesting to try to kind of step away from it, for me at least, to step away from it and to look at it as the big picture thing. And that's why it's so interesting to watch you. But I feel like you're saying like you're the eyes of it, that you're right there in the middle of it and you're embracing being a part of it. Does it ever freak you out then that you're maybe becoming a part of something different? Like, for example, I've seen you in like an Uber or a taxi or whatever, and you're just periscoping. And like, I always wonder, like, are you thinking about what the driver's thinking about what you're talking about? Because you're a very candid person that is very open and honest, and you don't really give a shit about what people think. I think on Periscope, you're part of this family, this like digital world of people watching you, but yet you're sitting in an Uber with another human being that you're completely ignoring.
Yeah. Well, it never even occurs to me. How about that? I'm that into it.
Mm-hmm.
To me, if I'm that taxi driver, I'm going to be like, what's going on? And then when that person tells me, I'm going to go, holy hell, I'm really glad that person got in my taxi. And you know how we tend to, however you feel about something, you tend to assume other people feel that same way. So like, if you just hate fish, it's easy to just assume that everybody hates to eat fish as well.
Mm-hmm.
Or the band. You know what I'm saying? And so, because they're like on the fringe of likability, it's not like pizza or something that everybody likes. So the point is, like, but I just assume that who doesn't like technology? Who doesn't want to be a part of the latest app? Everybody loves seamless. This is just seamless. And so, like, to me, it's like if someone is weirded out and takes the time to ask, like, I just helped them. So I have to like realize that the junkies that like have threatened to kill me because I've been periscoping them in Journal Square, like they actually don't like it and I should back off. And so I have, because they figured out where I live and now they hang out here. And one of them, I was tripping shrooms and I went to go get a taco with Chi, and one of them like charged at me like a bull. He's like, I'm a tourist and I come to bull rush you or something. And I'm tripping shrooms and I'm like, holy shit. And the dude was like jacked, like clearly lifted a lot of weights in prison kind of guy. Mm-hmm. But there's nothing I can do. I'm like on shrooms.
Yeah. I'm a tourist too.
So I was like, well, I guess I got to let him punch me. And so that's what's going on in my mind, but I'm tripping shrooms and he was like bull rushing me. He would line up his arms and then charge me like a bull. And I was just glaring at him like Crocodile Dundee. And then I'd just step to the side like a bullfighter and he'd like run by punching the air where I was. But it was like a choreographed dance.
What?
And then it ended with us doing a secret handshake in friendship. And she was watching because I barely believe in myself. I don't know if I hallucinated it, but she saw it too. And I felt his hand. Because tripping mushrooms, it's not like you see things that aren't there.
Right.
It's like, I don't know how to describe it. It's just you're like really happy and time slows down. But I guess to answer your question in short, I like to be connected, and it takes me a minute to actually understand that there's other people that don't like to be on. Mm-hmm. There's people that are on the other side, that are on the flip side of my scope, that only text and don't turn the lens on for themselves because it's only one way. Mm-hmm. And they talk about how scared they are to turn on the lens, but they want to be seen. Mm-hmm. which I find very interesting. They want me to see them. They want to do like private scopes with me. And it's like, I don't have time.
Right.
And then that hurts them because it's like a family that I don't have time to make a phone call with.
Right.
I have
But I
so many
mean,
kids.
and as you get more and more followers, though, it becomes harder and harder to, for you to be able to keep up with that anyway. But
Exactly.
it's interesting, though, because, while you're there, like, ignoring, the person in the car with you, or not ignoring, but just not, caring enough. I'm sitting here, like, when I record an episode of a podcast, which over 1,000 people listen to each episode, yet
Damn.
in the next room, like if my roommates are there, like I almost want to talk quieter so they can't hear me talk, like it's very interesting, the different types of personalities. And yeah, I don't think that I would like to have my own Periscope thing too, but I would like to have a face-to-face chat with you too. And I think for the people that do that, it's more of like a trust thing. Like you have given complete access to your life, and they know and they trust you and they like you, and so they trust you to see them, but they don't know if they'll have like a crazy stalker that will threaten to kill themselves too if they put themselves out there into the whole world. So what about for people that might be listening that are thinking about maybe starting a Periscope channel to maybe help promote their art or to connect with the people that follow them? What would you suggest to them if they're a little bit scared, like some of your followers are?
Then don't do it.
Don't do it.
So the push, the thing that you constantly need to realign yourself with if you're going to make it as an artist is that it has to be about love, which means that by necessity, or the path of least resistance for you as an artist will always be the path of greatest joy. So there is no rule book. There is no playbook. If you are scared to hit that button, then Periscope is not how you should be spending your time promoting yourself. When I logged into Periscope, I was super effing, excuse my language, ladies. I got cues here. They're Periscoping me while I do this. I couldn't believe how effing long it took me to get the thing turned on. I was like, I'm going to have to do this every time. And I have to turn on, yes, I want people to know where I am exactly in the world, because that's a feature but you have to turn it on. And it's like, yes, I want it to post to Twitter. Why isn't that just built in? Right. Mm-hmm. And so I'm hitting all these buttons and I'm realizing like for other people, it's like this scary moment. Like I'm turning on the location. I'm going to tell my friends on Twitter, they're going to see me instead of hiding behind the perfect selfie that's been my face until now.
Sure.
So yeah, I want to hit that button. Yeah, I want people to buy my paintings. It's easy for me. If you're scared, don't hit that button. Find the avenue of most joy, which will be the least resistance and the fastest way to achieving that art. It's also requires the most courage because no one's done it before. I'm the first one monetizing Periscope. Trust me. All the other big scopes are going out of business because they got a lot of money, because everyone with money could see the potential, but they didn't learn how to monetize it. They didn't learn what the tool was for first. I did, and now mine's paying for itself, and I only have like 1,400 followers or 1,800, who knows? I've stopped looking. It doesn't matter anymore. It's sustaining itself and an employee.
That's what's up.
Yeah.
Does Periscope, like your channel, your existence on Periscope, does that feel like a kind of new art to you?
Yeah, exactly. It's performance art.
Yeah.
So the paintings are as vibrant as they are because the person that bought them is helping pick colors that I never would have picked, hot pink and yellow, ever, because they're very hard to work with. Mm-hmm. And I'm not good at working with them, so I go for neutrals because I'm better at working with the easier colors. But the client's there, and she already canceled one painting, and I've got mouths to feed. I have to nail it now. So she's going to get pink, whether she likes it or not. And then she'll see, and wouldn't you know it, breakthrough. It's like the best painting I've ever done.
That's so cool.
I did the next painting, which was better. And now I'm on the next one, and that one's even better. And it's all because of audience interaction.
Where do you draw the line then where, it's great to have, I guess customer suggestions, or, you obviously want to make them happy, but where is the line as an artist where like you don't want to give over all the control?
Well, the thing is, I worked as a shitty ass graphic designer for 10 years where I was making websites for the Lavender Association of Western Colorado, a group of wonderful white-haired old ladies who don't understand what Facebook is, and so asked me to build that for them for $300. And then we had to argue for 45 minutes about why I don't know how to code, and that's not what they hired me to do. And you know what I'm saying?
Mm-hmm.
And now I have this girl who's so hot that she'll have 8,000 people in one of her scopes. One scope will have 8,000 viewers, and I'm painting her. And she didn't like the first one because I went all psychedelic mushroom trip on it, and I turned her into this like warrior goddess in a futuristic armor with hips. And she wasn't into it. She sent me a picture of Mariah Carey. So I had to redo it. And wouldn't you know it, both paintings sold. She loved it, and I had a breakthrough in style.
Dude, I love it. Everybody wins, you know? And that's just the power of the internet, the power of Periscope, the power of just connecting. And speaking of connecting, I love your morning show. I always tune in to that right before I go to sleep, so it's like you tuck me into bed almost.
Cool.
But yeah, you always have like a lot of interesting things to say on there. What's that about, and why haven't you turned that into a podcast yet?
I haven't turned it into a podcast yet because it's on the list.
Mm-hmm.
And the list is so infinitely long.
I feel you.
You know, and so but yeah, it's that's the only reason. And now that is possible with the dynamic duo known as Q. So my assistant, who has an assistant, can do that. And so that's possible. But first, they need an apartment. And so we're going to launch a Patreon, and half of the money for the rest of the time that the Patreon is up in its current form, half the money will go to whoever is my assistant, and half will go to me. So I need to pay rent, they need to pay rent, and we're going to be giving special, like Google Hangouts privileges to people that pay at certain levels.
Very cool.
Because I have fans that have asked for that. So now they're going to set that up, and then once rent is paid, then we decide what next to do. But just that is a monumental task.
Yeah, I'm starting up my Patreon as well, so good luck to both of us.
Yeah, I'll promote yours, you promote mine, and I don't care who they support as long as they're supporting the network, you know?
Absolutely.
This is the new frontier of everything, is podcasts and the fragmentation of media. Like, some people are at work and they have to listen to podcasts. They can't Periscope. Other people have a weird job where they can Periscope at work, and et cetera. But Periscope isn't for everyone, and it shouldn't be. And they need podcasts. Podcasts saved my life when I was chained to a fucking desk for endless years. I'm so glad that I was able to also learn about the world and science and art and culture through podcasts while doing my mindless Photoshop fucking job, you know?
Right. And also being able to just choose what you want to learn about, as opposed to having, you know, Fox News tell you what you're supposed to know about, which is just bullshit. So
yes, exactly. Correct. You want to learn about news? Do a news podcast. You want to learn about art? Sign up for Creative Push. You're going to learn about the most fascinating artists on the net, like people at the bleeding frontier, like me. Like, that's who interacts with podcasts, is like the cutting edge. But that fragmentation is just going to keep going. I love it. And the point is, if they support me or they support you, whoever's Patreon, it doesn't matter, because energy is coming into that sector, and that sector is becoming more valid.
Absolutely. And I feel like both of us and a lot of people that are kind of like-minded are doing it in the way that you talked about before, where it's just all about love. It's all about helping each other and just going forward together in a loving way and in a supportive way and in a helpful way.
Absolutely. And it's so important to keep in mind that the old guard isn't evil. It had to be that way because it costs a lot to have a TV station. But now it only costs me like, $100 a month, and I have a TV station in my pocket with like sound that you wouldn't believe. The sound I had to buy a $200 microphone to get sound better than what's built into the microphone with my iPod connected with Periscope. Periscope's doing something weird with the code where it sounds like you're fucking there. You can perfectly hear the person that's talking while the bombs are going off. It's insane.
Yeah, it's amazing, and that's why it's so fun to be on the cutting edge, like you said, and just kind of riding the wave and seeing what happens. I love it.
Yeah, and right now it's like basically in beta. It's like a live beta because like for as great as Periscope is, it sucks right now. And it's like they're adding things like, oh, I don't know, saving the data that they're collecting. That just got added and we're in a year and a half. You still can't get it on a desktop, but you can get it on Apple TV. It's like so weird right now.
Yeah, but so cool. And yeah, we can't wait to see what happens with it. I highly suggest that everybody goes to Nathan's Periscope account. That's Streetarthustle, to find him. And also go back to episode 54 if you want to listen to another really entertaining episode. It was one of my favorites. And but Nathan, before I let you go, you did it already once in the last podcast, but I'm going to ask you to do it again. The final push, where I ask you to kind of reach through the microphone and grab the shoulder of one of the listeners that you've already really inspired today that needs a little bit of a push to get their work done, and just give them your best words of advice and push them to do it.
Yeah, do exactly what you love, no matter how stupid that feels. And that might mean abandoning the acrylic painting that you already have 20 hours in on and start polishing the spoons, those tiny spoons that you're obsessed with collecting and like organizing those. And that might lead to your real art form. Let go of fear. So maybe you're painting that acrylic painting because it's as close as you think that you can get to monetizing your love. I'm saying let go of that and do the thing that you love. For me, it was painting Warhammer miniatures.
Right.
That led to where I'm at now with Periscope.
So just go with your heart. Just go with the thing that you love and ignore everything else, and it will lead you somewhere good.
Yes, and allow your loves to die because I'm no longer painting miniatures. So I did what I loved and it died, and then I could move on without feeling guilty. And then I did the next thing and the next. And then I was just on Periscope all the time. And that was stupid. And people are like, what the fuck is wrong with you? And I said, I don't know. It's an experiment. I'm just going to do what I love and trust that the universe will sustain me. And now everyone's saying it was obvious, And now I hired an assistant and I had people that were like longtime tuner inners, parts of the family who were like, I just can't tune in anymore. This isn't the season for me. Can't believe it. Like family, people that are to me family. The point is follow your love, follow your love, follow your love. And it takes courage, right? So love and courage, love and courage. You'll get there almost immediately if you jump big enough, but that's scary. And I don't have a family, right? So I'm doing a real-time experiment and it's still playing out. I haven't paid rent yet this month. So where does it come from? We're about to find out. Let's go.
Let's go. And with that, you can go and find out where it goes. Again, Street Art Hustle. We'll have links at the show notes page at yourcreativepush.com/100.
Boom. Dude,
Boom.
Thank you so much.
Dude, thank you so much, man. This has been a pleasure to see kind of where you're going, and we'll have to do it again in a couple months to see if you're light years ahead again.
Yeah, who knows, or if I've crashed.
Or if you've crashed, which
That's
I'm sure
drama.
won't be the case.
Yeah, I don't think so.
We won't let you.
Anyway.
All right, man. I'll probably see you on Periscope later today.
Yeah, cool. See you, Push.
And there you have it. Episode 100 of Your Creative Push. I cannot believe that we're in triple digits. Like, it's so strange to me. If you've been listening for a while, episode 0, I just decided to record a podcast and I just decided to start it. And that's really what I try to promote. And I, it's embarrassing kind of going back and listening to, episode 0 and some of the interviews from then on. I feel a little bit bad about the interviews that I conducted, that, I wasn't as good as I am now. Not that I think I'm anything great, but you can see that natural progression. The thing that all the guests talk about, I've been walking that journey myself, and it feels really good. It feels really good to be at episode 100. It's one of the first things in my life that I have, really pushed to its full potential, that I've really put so much time into it, and it's really become my life. This podcast is what I love. I love doing this. I love being able to inspire people. I love getting your emails. I love hearing that this has helped you. I love hearing from my guests. I love learning things that can push me in my own creativity. It's been all good things. It's been a lot of work, but it's so worth it. And if you haven't yet, go listen to episode 99.5, the episode that aired right before this episode, to hear a little bit about where the podcast is going. As you know, you've heard me allude to, I've cut it down to 3 episodes a week because I simply don't have enough time to be able to maintain this pace, at least while I have my job. And that being said, you can head to patreon.com/yourcreativepush if you want to support the show in any kind of small way. Even if it's $1 a month, that would go so far to help the show, to at least alleviate the costs that go into it. The support, it would mean so much. And it's the start of the way that I'm trying to be able to make the podcast be my life, so that I can get back to 5 episodes a week, maybe even 7, whatever you want, whatever makes the most sense for you to push you, whatever you need. I want to be here for you. I want to be able to be on call basically at all times, because it's so much more important than I think a lot of us realize, to not only be able to express ourselves, to be able to help others with the way we think about the world, and expressing ourselves in a creative sense, but also finding meaning in our own lives, finding out what we really care about the most. And art and creativity it's the way to do that. It's the way to figure all of that out. It's a way to expand your horizons. It's a way to see the world in a different way. It's a way to snap out of this system that we've created for ourselves in our different cultures. A story that is told, for us instead of by us. So I really want to try to do my part to help everybody snap out of that and to incorporate this amazing thing that is art, that is creativity. And this push has become my life calling. So I am here to stay for another 100 episodes, for another 1,000 episodes. I'm here to stay. We're going to do it at a little bit of a slower pace, but we're going to concentrate on spreading the word and providing a lot more value and a sense of community, not just me talking with super inspiring people, but being able to talk with you as well, and for you all to be able to talk to each other as well. So a lot of things in the lineup, things that I haven't been able to get to because of just the workload. But if you want to hear all about that, again, you can listen to episode 99.5. Head to yourcreativepush.com/reset if you want to listen to that episode, or just head back in your podcast player to listen to that episode if you are subscribed, which I hope you all are at this point. Anyway, huge thank you to Nathan for coming on the show. Like I said, he was a very special episode for me back in episode 54. I just love his attitude. He is a outspoken, wonderful person. I love tuning in and finding out what he's up to. And I have many more plans for other second guests as well. People that I still remain in contact with and continue to inspire me. And please be sure to, reach out to me, youngman@yourcreativepush.com. If there's a particular guest that you just didn't get enough of that you would love to hear again, and I will see what I can do. Thank you so much for supporting this show for 100 episodes, and I can't wait to continue to push you 100 more. Thank you so much for listening. Go and get your work done, and we will be here for you on Wednesday. It pains me to say that, to not say tomorrow, but we will be here for you on Wednesday if you need the push again. Thank you so much for listening. I love you all, and we will see you next time. Bye.